China has realized that everything in the world is interconnected. Therefore, economic development is its priority, and so is environmental protection. Once isolated and inward-looking, China has now become a land of opportunities for many people from other countries.
So, we come to Beijing to meet some of those people and see how China is shaping their lives and the lives of many around the world.
I believe that it is through increased communication and respect that we will achieve mutual understanding. In my view, if one wants to better understand China and the improved lives its people are thriving for, we first must get to know its culture.
It's a little bit, you know. It's an Italian spy, not. It's an Italian monkey. This one. It's an Italian monkey.
梁老师，我们写的怎么样？
写得很好，
真的吗？
比刚才那个好多了。
OK
啊，尤其你这个都写出老虎的那种气势了。
OK，
他那个也是，啊。
So he feels that this represents like the strength of the tiger.
Okay.
And
this is a little bit fat because you know I've been eating Italian food.
But he says it. Yes.
I've never actually learned about Chinese calligraphy before. Some say that Chinese characters are among the most difficult writing systems. So it's definitely a challenge, but one I welcome. Writing like this is really an art form, and I seem to understand why Chinese often consider it alongside painting.
This is Beijing, the capital of China. It's a culturally rich city with a history of over 3,000 years. It served as China's capital for 800 years. It's also the last stop I planned for Maria.
"时代发展的太快了，现在不光北京有许多音乐厅，连中小城市都有很多的音乐厅。"
Over 40 years have passed since then. The unpleasantries that Karajan experienced on his trip are already a thing of the past. Today's China has world-class airports and a national theater that is comparable with the Sydney Opera House.
Things I've ever seen. It's wonderful.
It's an amazing.
The shape and everything, the water. It's like, you know, you enter in the music world, you know?
And we're now here, and I'm going to introduce you to a very good friend from Canada, Ray.
That is waiting for us.
He is waiting for us here. Good to see you again, Ray.
Nice to see you.
Good.
Greetings.
Yes, this is my good friend Maria.
Maria, what an
Italy.
honor to
Nice to meet you.
How exciting. So, welcome to this astonishing art center.
Ray is a music agent, and it's his job to bring orchestras and musicians from the West to China.
And he's got us into the concert hall to watch a rehearsal for a few minutes.
The theater seems like a second home for him, and he's always ready for an encounter with one of the musicians here.
wrote the symphony for 12 years.
Oh, really?
The musicians, they were all very young.
This is one of the newest orchestras of a big city in China. They made this house. They decided they needed to have their own permanent full-time orchestra to dedicate themselves probably about 75% to the opera and 25% to concerts.
Wow.
So it's a very, very busy orchestra, but young. They auditioned from all over the world, They started out with many musicians from other countries. Now it's almost all Chinese musicians.
While he originally worked with the Toronto Symphony Orchestra in Canada, he has now made China his home for the past 13 years.
你好，这个是什么？是鸡肉哦，应该好吃。What I discovered in China was a real hunger and an energy to develop the classical music scene. And that's what strongly attracted me to really be here in the center of it. And many Chinese friends said that the Chinese who are interested in this kind of world need older people like me, mature people with a lot of experience in this business. And I can really see that.
As more and more major theaters have opened in cities across China, there's a high demand for Western ensembles to come here, whether to put on concerts or full-fledged operas. For example, A Dream of Red Chamber, which was brought from San Francisco and is based on an 18th century Chinese novel. Ray's business is one of the biggest in China. Under his leadership, it is now going to organize tours across the country for homegrown Chinese talent as well.
This is one of the performances that Ray's agency will be promoting. It's by international ballet star Yuan Tan, a new piece for 7 dancers and 7 musicians. With traveling performances restricted by the pandemic, this is just the kind of Chinese performance that Ray is looking to bring to Chinese theaters.
Okay. Bravo. Good. Thank you all.
Ray takes us to one of his favorite haunts, a place where Beijing shows its most modern face.
It's a lovely, comfortable area, but I'm a little concerned that it doesn't really feel very Chinese to me. It could be almost anywhere.
You need to have an identity, and the past is your DNA.
Yes.
And it's very, very important because it tells you who you are.
Exactly.
And you can get rid of that. If you get rid of that, you can be anyone. I just hope that they don't lose their Chinese identity.
I feel that won't happen. I think that there is an enormous learning curve happening now. The Chinese are learning all about Western music and all about Western society, but at the same time, when I think about all these performances that are going on across China, I can tell you that the most popular ones and the ones that are the best attended are the Chinese plays and the Chinese dance and everything to do with history of China. Many composers are writing in China, and they're writing music using Western notation, but still with Chinese feelings being interspersed and with Chinese instruments being used. I don't think there's any danger of Chinese identity being lost, because the Chinese identity is very strong at home here, and it's not going away.
For Ray, the most important thing about China is that it's possible to get things done.
When I came to China first, there were probably 20 or 30 orchestras. Now, I know that the Poly Group manages 72 art centers in different cities. When being from Canada, of course, and even from England, I always feel a bit sad because nobody can get anything done. In Canada, it takes 20 to 40 years to get any new center built. In China, once the decision is made, and the decisions are made quite quickly, it takes 2-3 years.
You can see this in the rate of change in a city like Beijing. Everything seems to happen so fast here. It's almost like coming to a new city every time I visit.
But I'm still concerned that all this change is going to leave Chinese culture behind.
It is a concern, and part of my work is devoted to maintaining culture in China. But the changes happening here are also allowing China's culture to flourish.
Another day in Beijing and another performance. This is Chinese opera. For some, it can be quite challenging. But I love it. I always find it very elegant, very beautiful. And I've never had a performance just for me before.
Wow, brava!
After the performance, Brian has arranged for me to meet the singer.
Can I?
Yeah, hello, come in.
Wow, but take a seat. You are a foreigner.
Yeah, I'm
Brian
foreigner.
didn't tell me that you were a foreigner.
I'm Angela, by the way.
Hi, Angela. Maria, Grazia.
Well,
nice to meet you. But
Nice to meet you too.
I'm shocked. I thought you were Chinese.
Angelika Smirnova is from Latvia, and she's been living in China almost as long as I have, 13 years.
啥？哦，鲤鱼锦鲤啊。
She's found an artistic and spiritual home in the world of ancient Chinese culture.
A friend of mine from Latvia also was here, and every day after our lectures, we were going around in Beijing. And there are lots of places in Beijing, like hutongs and Forbidden City, Tianmen. So it is a kind of place where you can find traditional culture, and also you can see how the modernization of China is like going step by step. And right now, like 13 years here, so I see that it's developing so fast, rapidly, but still is thinking about how to protect traditional culture.
She chose Chinese opera. It's similar to our own Italian opera.
它是花，它就张开了。戏曲不是，它是字头、字辅、字尾全部要唱到。花，对，它每个都是这样的。对。
With drama and song, but it's also completely different. Learning it is like learning a different language, where every movement has meaning.
对，它这个其实也是手腕的劲儿，其实也是手腕往起要猛弹一下。对，你看一下，你看它其实所有的动作，它其实天女散花，它要讲究的不是说是动作有多快，它讲究的是怎么慢，怎么唯美。就比如说它往外抛的这一下，它都是就是要让它慢慢的过，你懂吗？就是慢慢的过去，然后就。 看的就是他慢慢过去的这个过程。
Through learning Chinese opera, Angelika is learning to understand China from the inside.
1、2、3、4、5，起吗？
I really want to find out more about Angelika's experiences and how getting so involved with Chinese culture has changed her.
We decide to meet in one of our favorite areas, the hutongs of Beijing, traditional streets where people still live more or less as they have in the past.
Oh, wow!
Not the same, huh? With yellow hair.
Angela is back. It's a big change, eh? Try some local specialties. Are you okay?
Sounds good.
Some 老北京酸奶。
可以，很好。
So here we are.
哦 ，Hello， 老板你好。
老北京酸奶。哎，对，我们要尝一下这个。
很有名哦，给他了。
很好喝。Thank you.
这个给你，
谢谢。
你天天都喝。
好喝。
谢谢你，怎么喝？
Yeah, it's beautiful. 哪里管？
这是就要把它插进，好，你先给他了。
好。
Thank you. 好，很期待。好。
Ready? So, 1, 2, 3.
This location, this lifestyle, everyone living in these courtyards, it's a Chinese way of life that captivates me and Angelica too.
So when you look, what we're looking at right now is a facade, and then when you go in, there's all this life as well.
There's another world
There's
inside.
another world. And I mean, look at this one too. You know, this is just a little door here, and look at how many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 families are there.
Families are living inside.
You can't even see.
It's so picturesque here, but it can't be just that which brought Angelica to China and keeps her here after all these years. I really want to know if living here has changed her.
I'm asking everybody this question. Why are you here?
It was 16 years ago. At that time in my country, it was a kind of Asian countries were very popular, especially characters. So I was very curious, like I see characters and I don't know what is the story behind. And then my mom told me that if you want to learn language, like still you need to understand culture and be here inside, immerse yourself. And this is why I'm here.
And how did you end up with the opera, with the Chinese opera?
It was not love at first sight. It was like, because singing is totally different to what we used to. So it was more about, the first time it was costumes and movements. It was so beautiful. And then I've got an opportunity to have a try to sing. And this is when you sing and you understand the story, what is it telling about. So I think that I found what was missing in myself.
Of course, one of the greatest Confucian values is respect for one's parents. It's a value Angelica is happily adopting.
I think that I've learned how to think more about my parents, actually. Before that, I was thinking when I got 18, so I'm independent and I want to live my life. And thanks, parents, for raising me, and that's it. But when I came here, and every time, for example, when it's a Chinese Spring Festival, everyone's going back home for gathering together, reunion. So I need to think about my parents more, even though I'm so far. But I would like to talk to them more. And I'm trying to change. I'm feeling guilty.
Aside from the Confucian guilt, living in China is helping Angelica see the world in a different way.
It's about philosophy, I think. Everything that they put, for example, in hutongs as well. So if you're going around, you can see carvings. They have meaning. There are lots of meanings inside, so you need to explore them. And I think that this is what makes you think a lot. What should I do and how should I do? I'm learning from that, how to become better me.
I think you're doing very, very well.
Thanks again, Angela, for taking the time to be with us
Thank you for
and giving us
inviting me.
such a great lesson. So it's
I hope you've enjoyed it. Yeah. But my studies are waiting for me. Yes, you know, I'm doing my PhD, so I have to go back to university.
smart girl.
Oh, no. Okay, see you.
We'll see you in Dali.
See you.
Thanks again for everything.
Bye. Ciao.
Very impressive, huh?
Yes.
Eric Bergloff is quite the newcomer to China, having arrived here just last year. He's an economist, and he's meeting us at a market. Apparently, it's like an office or a laboratory for someone in his profession.
Still don't know.
Fashang.
When I first came to China, I was young, and I built my life here from the bottom up. Eric has come straight in at the top of his profession.
WeChat, you just...
I think that the market for an economy is the right place where to be, you know.
I love to go to the local market because you really get a sense of what are people eating, you know, you get a sense of the variety of things.
He's chief economist at a large development bank, an international organization for supporting projects that improve the economic situation of countries across Asia.
When did you start cooking Chinese?
Well, it actually started because I traveled in China, and then I met this Sichuanese woman who was married to a Swedish sinology professor. She had written this cookbook of Sichuanese food, and she got sick, unfortunately, and on her deathbed, I promised her that I would cook all the recipes in her cookbook. So 57 recipes I did.
And you already cooked all of them?
I cooked all of them, absolutely.
And today you're gonna cook one of that
Yes,
recipe?
I will. 3 of them.
3 of them?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No,
I can't help noticing just how much there is on offer in this market.
we need some strawberries for dessert.
Okay. How many do you need?
Even things not typically Chinese.
老板可以来，对。谢谢你。
Thank
It's
you.
all part of the changes since Deng's reforms in the 1980s. As more entrepreneurs set up shop, increased wealth has been generated and the people have been steadily lifted out of poverty. And more than that, there's the infrastructure. New roads, new rail lines, everything that allows all this produce to move around the country.
What do you like? I mean,
It's up to you.
Back at Eric's apartment, we can start cooking,
It's up to you, you see.
it's my...
It's your recipe.
and we're not getting away without helping.
Eric may be new to living in China, but he has certainly thrown himself into understanding the country and its culture since his arrival. In fact, I got to know him when he came to stay for a month with us to learn about Yunnan province.
I'm excited to try it, Tarek.
Wow. See. It's always an improvisation. Thank you for being my guest.
But it was so nice seeing you.
But his connections to China actually go way back.
Okay.
First time in 1980, and I was a student, and I had a chance to travel around China. It was to many places that had just been open for like a month to foreigners, and I went to places where I saw for the first time in my life poverty, real poverty, and I think it was part of making me a development economist, actually, that experience.
But then you came back here after, many years,
Yeah.
and there was this huge...
Yeah, it's a very different place today, and you almost have to stay away for some time to really appreciate the extent of the change.
Sharing a meal is a great way to know someone, and I can see the idealism behind Eric's traditional Swedish reserve.
Much is happening here. I wanted to understand it better because I've always felt that there was so much I didn't understand. But also, we are in a time of history where there's a lot of tension, and if one can play some small role in trying to mitigate that and maybe, find a way of connecting China to the rest of the world. I think that's something that is what I hope to do.
The next day we come to Eric's place of work to get an idea of how the bank actually functions.
It certainly looks the part, all gleaming steel and glass.
What an office. This is beautiful, Maria.
Fantastic view.
It is a very nice office. It's even hard to work here, but get some work done. The AIB was set up to help Asia develop, particularly its infrastructure. And of course, the infrastructure has been a very important part of China's growth here and other countries' growth.
The bank was first proposed by China, though now it has over 100 participating countries and organizations.
It's actually very moving. You come into the board meetings and you have people from all over Asia sitting there making decisions together and, sharing the future.
China's development experiences over the last 40 years are invaluable.
I think China has made massive strides in terms of getting rid of the poverty. Poverty is tremendously debilitating. You know, so much talent is lost to poverty.
The projects the AIB funds are similar to China's own Belt and Road Initiative. Major infrastructure projects that connect people and nations.
But as Eric suggested at dinner, it's not about money or even roads and railways. It's about my favorite thing, dreams.
It's a lot about dreaming of realizing people's potential, all the things that you have within inside you and how you can realize that in life, helping realize those dreams and that potential of people, of countries. I think that is a very meaningful thing.
It's our last day in Beijing. I'm taking Maria back to the hutongs, and I have a little surprise for her to remember our journey through the last 100 years of Chinese history.
Somehow, Brian has found time to print out the best photos we took as we traveled around the country.
I don't even know. It looks like I'm looking in the mirror. How can you
I can't
forget
think
that,
about
huh?
the kids. I love all of them. And she was so special, you know. I'm in love with this girl. With all of them, you know. I really left a piece of my heart there.
No, I think that part of this whole journey has just been we've made so many friends, Maria. It's been incredible, huh?
It was just beautiful. My life, but this one was different. Usually
It's not just the photos, though.
So I have a little gift for you. This comes from the school where we visited.
Oh my God, you make me cry now.
And it's all there,
You know,
but each one of them wrote
one,
something for you. But in order to help you read, I also have another gift for you, and that's something that we all want to share with you. And those are some books for you to learn Chinese. You speak English so well.
I don't.
We hope that you will, I hope that this will inspire you. Someday reading these letters maybe will be one of the first homework for you.
I'm so curious, you know.
Yeah.
If I don't learn, I can't read them. This one is short. Read this for me.
Just again, they wrote and they said, "You're such a wonderful auntie for coming and giving them, showing so much respect and feelings. And they don't know how to thank you for everything." So she said that the best thing she could do is write you this thing and just say you will not be forgotten and we will always think of you.
I can't believe I'm leaving already. I have experienced so much in a short time.
Yes, that was for the performance.
And I think I'm going home understanding much more about China.
It's time for me to go home too. I don't have so far to go. But it's going to take me just as long because I prefer to go overland and discover more about this wonderful country. Home is Dali. It's an ancient city in the southwest of China. The mountains are near, and the climate is subtropical. It's no wonder that this is one of the most popular tourist destinations in China. We moved here when my wife and I discovered this house back in 2004. Jeannie is also American and shares my love and respect for Chinese culture. The house is now our home, and it's where we make our living too. It was built in the style of the local Bai minority in 1947, just before the People's Republic of China was declared. And we have restored it as faithfully as we can. Part of the house has been converted into a hotel, where visitors from all across China and around the world can come and stay. But the main part of our business involves cultural exchanges and activities. Visitors come here to experience life in Yunnan and to learn about the 2 million strong Bai community. That might mean a visit to my own small collection of artifacts. Or it could be a trip into the surrounding community.
Yeah, this is the temple.
This is a small temple near our home.
Because at the time they were giving
It's officially Buddhist,
This is part of.
but inside there is a Taoist deity.
I think you recognize this, yes?
It's a great example of how China melds cultures.
Hey, 老板. Hey, 你好.
And people from town can also join in. There is always a danger that as the country modernizes, the old ways are forgotten. We are very keen to keep this heritage alive. Today I'm visiting Mr. Wang. He has something else for my collection. Something from the more recent past. What he's showing me are rationing coupons from a time when he was young and food was scarce. It was a very different world to the one today. For us, our work is more than just a celebration of what China was in the past. It's a way of keeping heritage in the present. It's a way of fostering understanding of China among people both here and abroad. And this has been made possible because China has developed the way it has over the last years and decades.
It's been a few months since I returned from our trip around China, and I am back with my family. While we were traveling, I learned some simple Chinese dishes, and I love to prepare these for my family sometimes. It's something that keeps me in touch with China. I also think of Brian and what he is doing now.
I have settled back into my life in Yunnan, but I often think about our journey on the trail of the history of the last 100 years. There's always more to learn, and I'm always happy to study. And the great thing about the modern world, it's easy to keep in touch even across continents.
How are you? I miss you so much. I miss China even more.
It's good to see you. Thank you.
It's been, like a dream to go back there. And I'm cooking. I'm cooking.
Wow, Maria.
How do you call this in Chinese? How do you call this in Chinese? Because I can't remember.
It's called 西红柿炒蛋.
Okay, you will say that. I will call eggs with tomatoes. Learn how to cook Chinese. We all coming. We all come. Even Stefano.
So they are helping me work on some really cool projects right now.
Hi everybody. Ni hao. Miss you.
Hi.
I have so many memories to share. It's a price my family must pay for their lunch.
Se vi cucino un pranzetto cinese?
Volentieri. Così è più buona.
Ti piace?
I love my life in Rome, a city that also dates back to the ancient world. But I really feel I made a connection with China. It's clear to see that China has gone through some truly earth-shaking changes in the past century. Changes can be found in intangible fields such as open-mindedness, broader perspectives, and more creative thinking of the Chinese people. All of these were driven by Chinese culture, and in the future, I reckon this will all serve to bring me even closer to China. To understand more about this fabulous country and its people.